Good afternoon, guys. So it's still Aloha Friday. Yeah, just rolling right into the next video. It is later in the afternoon now from where the last video ended. This is actually going to be part 11. I was thinking the last one was 11. Excuse me. So in this video, there's a couple of things to kind of finish up, and then the main focus of this video is going to be getting the roof ceiling / roof installed. There's two sections, the lower roof, upper roof. You guys are all familiar with that. I have not started, car driving by. I have not started yet on prepping the tongue and groove and staining and all that. So I'm still trying to get some things finished up here. One of which is the blocking. So I got the first piece of blocking in, and then also getting this edge of the siding trimmed down here. But anyway, I'll show that in a minute. So yeah, just continuing on, trying to get this thing wrapped up. And I think I'm actually going to be ordering the metal roof here soon. So the metal is going to take about 10 days from the time that we order it. But really that's going to be the final step of drying in the Ohana and having everything done. So, well, everything on the outside done. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in, and let's get to work. So, yeah, that's my crock. You can see the siding here is trimmed on this side all the way. I also trimmed this vertical part here where the siding is going to go up. You can see the fascia and purlins out there for the end that goes over, or the rafter tail, I guess, part of the beam. So I still need to trim that vertical section there. And then of course, I'm going to get these last 3 pieces of blocking put in. These are relatively simple. I think in the last video I was saying that these were going to go straight vertical, but I actually did end up tilting them just slightly, just so they match the inside, because that inside piece is tilted slightly. It's basically at a 90-degree angle from the top. So there's maybe, it's a very slight tilt, 5 to 10 degrees maybe. So that piece is nailed in. I gotta get these ones done and nailed in, and then we'll be back up in the shop to clean up the shop and also to start sorting and prepping the tongue and groove. So let me get this stuff done. All right, so I have all the blocking done on that bump out roof. I do have the 2x4 up there for the purlin, but it's just sitting there right by the fascia. That will end up getting pushed back and go right over the blocking. So it's halfway on, halfway off to kind of cap that edge. And then that way there's a tight seal in between, the roof and the wall. There will still be, this is just a bump out, so it doesn't really matter, but there will be, the ridges in the roof. Same on the other side. So, condensation and stuff, as it evaporates, will have a place to escape still on the roofing. That'll be later. Hopefully by the end of this video, I'm putting the metal roofing on, but we'll see. And then I also got that piece trimmed right there on that side. So now it's time to head up to the shop and get started on the tongue and groove. So this is the mess that I gotta clean up. This is all the tongue and groove, still wrapped up from when it was delivered. That's all the pieces from doing the decorative rafter tails and other stuff that I needed to use the table saw for. So yeah, let me get this place cleaned up, and I'll figure out where I'm going to set up sawhorses and start laying out these pieces. Okay, shop is cleaned up and I'm slowly transferring this tongue and groove off the floor onto my toolboxes. So this is a perfect example of why I wanted to do my workbench this way and have the rolling toolboxes underneath, so that if I needed a work surface, I could roll them out and use them. And once I have the tongue and groove all moved up here, then I can move it around the shop if I need to move it away, move it closer to the wall, move it out, whatever. So, yeah, this is a lot of tongue and groove. So there's 10 stacks, and there's what, 2, 4, 6, 8 in each stack. So this is roughly 35 feet if it was all stacked up together. I think that's about what it comes out to, 16 feet wide. So, but this is basically for both of the roofs, both of the ceilings. So the tongue and groove has a smooth side and a rough side. So I'm making sure to stack these all with the smooth sides up. I'm kind of putting them together, and then I will sand these all together. You know, just do a 120 sand. I'm not trying to like make these polished or anything, but also to take care of anything like this, you know, glue. And then this looks like there's some dried sap here, so to get all that stuff off and then prepare it for the stain. This is going to be really time consuming because I'm only really essentially going to be able to do one stack of 8 at a time. So the whitewash goes on. It's a process where you rub it on, you wait, then you wipe it off. Then it needs to sit for 12 hours. Then I can do the clear coat over the whitewash, which also needs to sit for 12 hours. So you can see how this is going to stack up. So essentially for every layer is going to be 24 hours, and there's 10 layers. So that's 10 days, basically. Which oddly enough is the same amount of time it's going to take to get the metal roofing. Once I order it, it's 10 days turnaround. So anyway, I think what's going to end up happening is as I get these going, I'll do a stack, stain it, clear coat it, and then I'll take that stack and install it into the Ohana. And then on the back side, or what will be the top side, I have this here, which is the wind and water or ice and water seal. It's basically a adhesive underlayment membrane. So that's going to go on the top, and it's going to pretty much waterproof everything. So let me get back to work. All right, so that is pretty much the process. I basically sanded it down. I just hit it with 120, just a once over. Nothing too aggressive. Basically just to smooth it out, make sure there were no raised, spots, rough spots, anything like that. There were a couple spots where there was some stamps on there, so I had to sand those off. And essentially the way the whitewash works, which this is the product that I'm using from Home Depot, it's Bear. It's an oil-based antique white wood stain. So this is the premium advanced formula. Good stuff, I guess. And then this will be the polyurethane that goes over, which is also oil-based. So the way that you're supposed to do this, or at least what the directions say, is you wipe it on generously across the whole thing, and then you let it sit for about 5 minutes, and then you wipe it off against the grain. So you wipe it on this way, as you saw in the time lapse. When you wipe it off, you wipe this way, with a clean rag or a clean towel. So I used a clean towel, and I essentially just did 4, just like in the video, all the way down, 4 all the way down that way. And then when I wiped them, I went back starting at this corner, wiped starting here, so that by the time I got around, it was, you know, that side was about 5 minutes as well. So this is going to sit overnight, and then in the morning I will put the polyurethane on it, and then it'll wait. And then once that's dry, I'm not going to wait 12 hours for that because there's no reason. Once it's dry enough, dry to the touch, I'll give it maybe 6 hours or something. Or it might even actually sit for another day because I'm going to be going to help someone tomorrow. So I probably won't actually get to this until Sunday morning. So we'll see. But then it'll go in and I'll get the first section of the roof done. All right, so I'm down in the Ohana and I got the first batch of, our first 8 boards, I should say, of the tongue and groove. And I'm starting to put them up. Yeah, you can't, it doesn't even look like they're whitewashed in here just because the tarp is white and it's bright. So anyway, I'm getting the first few pieces in, and this is, I guess, the hardest part to get started, and then dealing with the tarp and all that. Eventually I'll be able to just pull the tarp off, but for now I still have to keep it up there. So once I'm up here, all I'm doing is using a clamp to pull this in tight. Once it's pulled in tight, then I put the nails in. And then of course my clamp's only gonna reach about this far. So what I'll do at that point is I'll flip the clamp around to where it pushes apart instead of pulls together. And then I'll just have a block that I'll screw in real quick here, clamp it, nail it, take the block off, move to the next one, and then just slowly work my way up. So this is the opposite setup. Basically put a screw in there with a 2x4, use the clamp, push it down, nail it in, and then just keep moving beam to beam and working my way to the top. All right, so that is the first set of 8 boards. I think I'm just going to continue. I kind of came to the conclusion that I could do the whitewash on these and then just let them sit for a couple of hours, then bring them down. And then later on I'll go and I'll do the poly coat after it's already in here. Just because it's going to take so much time if I do everything in the shop. I mean, it's going to be days and days, weeks even. So I'm going to just continue with these pretty much as soon as I get them whitewashed, let them sit for a couple hours, and then I'm going to put them up. All right, well, it's the next morning. I'm out here at the Ohana again. You can see my progress so far. What I need to do next, before I get too much further, is I'm going to have to drill a hole in this beam, cut a channel in the back with my router, and then drill some holes to get into that wall so I can run my electrical wires. So at this location, which I put the mark there on the floor, so that's basically the center of the room, and that's going from this wall to the loft wall, because this is, you know, the whole room, not just the center of the beam, because then it would be off. So that mark right there is the center of the room. So what I'm going to do is get my laser, shoot it up so I know exactly where it is I need to drill the hole. And then I will get the hole drilled in here, get the wire run. Essentially what's going to happen is it's going to end up coming into this wall, running across, coming into this wall, running down, running across, and then run down. Because this is where the switches will be for the lights as you walk in the door. What I'm thinking now is there's probably going to be 4 switches there. So we will have 1 switch for the ceiling fan. There's going to be some up lighting in these pockets. So there will be 1 switch that controls those. There will be a switch for whatever. We're going to have some kind of a light chandelier or something up there. And then there will be a switch for the kitchen lights. So there will be, like I said, 4 switches there. Actually, probably will be an exterior light as well, so might end up being 5 switches there. We'll have to see how that's gonna pan out. But anyway, I need to get this done now before I go. I have another 8 sheets ready, and I think those 8 will probably cover where this location is. So, and then I think it'll be another 6 boards beyond that to finish this out. So let's get started on that. All right, so after making such a mess, I got the wire run through. Of course, this is all gonna get tacked in, pulled tight, running through up there. You see it coming out on the beam. And then just to take a look up here. So essentially what I did where the drill bit came out, I just started my router and cut a channel. There's a piece going through there. On the inside of this wall, I drilled at an angle down to where the beam was, and then I drilled through from this side and was able to connect it. Because this wall will be below once the tongue and groove goes on. And of course, I'm gonna have to cut these metal brackets, the top here, just so the tongue and groove will fit up tight against the beam. But the wire is run. I will probably put a piece of tape over this just to keep it in place, and then as I continue with my tongue and groove, I'll still be able to nail on either side like I have been all the way down. So each board basically gets 3 nails at each beam. So I do, 2 and 1, 1 and 2, like kind of alternate it going up. And this is what it looks like up here. So I have the next batch here ready to put on. Now that this is done, I can get going with that. All right, so that is all the tongue and groove on the lower roof. Done, everything's nailed in. See the bump out rafter tails there. And in my haste to get this finished, I covered up the ladder. I'm just kidding, I have a ladder over here. So now I'm going to go grab the underlayment and start rolling that out, cutting the sheets, and then getting that installed. And then this roof will be watertight. So let me go grab that stuff. So looking at it from the inside, now that this is up and it's actually blocking the sun, you can see the whitewash a lot better. But yeah, so that's my wire for the light. You can see a couple spots where there's knots that came out, so you can see light there. And there's actually a full knot hole right there. But once it gets covered with the underlayment is black on the bottom, which this is the roll there. So you won't really notice it. And if it is still that noticeable, I'll go and put some kind of a plug or something in there, or just some putty. Wood putty. Looks like there's another spot right there. You can barely see some light through, but all that'll be gone once I get the underlayment on. But it looks pretty awesome. And then up here on this edge, there will be a trim piece that will close that out, just to have a nice transition from the roof to the beam, or ceiling to the beam. So, but also the underlayment's going to go up the wall, so this will be totally sealed in as well. All right, so back up on the roof, I have this water seal rolled out and cut to length. It's roughly 3 feet tall. I have 4 sheets, so that's gonna almost do the whole roof. I'll have to go grab the other roll. Then you see the lines on here, so that's the overlap basically that you do. So you start at the bottom, just like with any roofing, shingling, anything like that. Start at the bottom, then the next one overlaps, so on and so forth. For the bottom one, I'm actually going to run it up this 2x4 and over the top, just so it's fully sealed, like all the way. There will be, I'm sure, condensation that gets in here from inside the metal roof. So if it drains down, it'll still be able to kind of, I guess, evaporate there. But it shouldn't be much. Like there shouldn't really, it's not like there's going to be pools of water. But in the meantime, until I get the metal roofing on, I want to make sure that this corner is protected. So if there is water that comes in, say blowing in from the side during, you know, a rainstorm or whatever, I don't want that water that gets here before the roof goes on to go in and then just basically go into the house if I were to put it right on that seam. So let me get started on this. Basically, this is a sticky back. You just peel it off. I have a little roller there I'm going to use. I thought I had a bigger one, but that was the only one I could find, so I'll make it work. All right. So I have the majority of this ice and water shield, or wind and water shield, installed. I'm up to the last piece. So basically what's going to happen on this piece is I'm going to run the piece, you know, overlapping the 3 inches just like every other one. And then it's going to run behind the house wrap up the wall, probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches. Then I'll cut it there, and then the house wrap's going to go over it. And then I'm going to put another strip over the house wrap to seal it back to itself. So that will ensure that no rain or anything will get into this, I guess, joint meeting place where the roof meets the wall. And then of course on top of that will be siding. You'll have the metal roofing. There will be a piece of flashing that goes behind the siding over the metal roofing. Then the siding will go down just to ensure that it's, you know, a very tight seal. This is going to see all of the rain, like everything coming in is going to be on this wall. So some of it will be blocked by the little bump out, but that's only if it's, you know, falling relatively straight down. So yeah, this is an important seam. All right, so everything's wrapped up on here, and this is done for now until I get the metal roofing, I guess. Next steps are going to be putting flashing on this outside edge, so a piece of flashing that goes down. And then I'll probably put in my 2x4 purlin up against that wall. And then I have a scrap piece of roofing so I can get my spacing for my flashing there. And then I can put the siding on the wall here as well. And then where these blocks are screwed in holding the tarp, I will just put a piece of wind and water shield over that spot once I remove them. But I'm going to wait until I actually get the metal roofing. So, but I'm going to call it a night for tonight. It's getting late. I think it's like 5 already. So, yeah. Sometimes I really just want to smack the crap out of my dogs. They still come in here and pee. All right, so I'm back up in the shop working on whitewashing. Continuing to whitewash these planks, tongue and groove planks. This is going to be for the upper roof above the loft. So I'm going to just get a bunch of these done, and I'll continue, I guess, on the next video. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up just because it's getting so long. I was also working on a little bit of forging, making a big set of emu tongs. Yeah. So anyway, so like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and just wrap this video up. This is part 11, I think. There's probably gonna be just one more video in this series. I have ordered the metal for the roofing, so the last video will just be finishing up the roof, getting everything completely dried in, and then that'll be the end of the series for building an Ohana. I will, of course, continue to do other videos as we complete things on the inside. In the next video, I'll go over the total cost for everything as well. And then, like I said, that'll be the last video for the Building the Ohana series. And then from there, it'll just be finishing out the Ohana. I don't know. It'll just be individual videos that we'll be talking about, you know, doing the drywall, doing the wood, doing all the different stuff for that. So, but I'm going to try and make it a little more broad. I know when I did my shop build videos, I showed like every single thing, and it ended up being like 30 something videos. And my shop is still not done. Like you can see part of the roof. This wall is still not done for the pallet wood. I need to do that. So many things to do. Anyway, guys, I just want to say thank you for watching. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I appreciate it. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And I will see you on the next video. Aloha.